Hello, cyber world. I just thought I'd tune in a little bit and talk about where we are headed. And I don't want to be too negative, but really, for those of us who are truly awake, who are just sit back and just watch everything. This is for all of you who are awake, who are seeing the way the world is turning and where we're headed. And the sad thing is that we are headed towards disaster on a global scale. See, so I was living in the US for 20 plus years. I'm currently here in India. And I've been everywhere, really, except for Europe, but really I don't even want to go to Europe with the things that are happening right now in France and Italy and the UK right now. There's massive rioting in the UK. Let's talk about it. Massive stabbings, massive fires, massive rioting in the UK. That's supposedly first world. Massive rioting in the UK. So I never really wanted to go to Europe, especially now. Europe has never been in my census, but I'm currently in India. So the major difference that I see between the US and India are these two. So you still have people here who have all the money, and you have a kind of a working class, a little like the gap is still there, but so there's the rich who have everything, like Mumbai is a perfect example. The rich who have everything, and then the poor, and then in between there's the working class, small, but it's still there. It's actually a big part of society. The major difference is that Indians have a high sense of morality. Their morality is instilled in them, and it's in place, and it's working. They are more responsible. They are more loyal. Overall, they're just better human beings than the average American. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. When I say most Indians, and I'm talking about the poor ones, because I don't mingle with the rich, but I'll tell you this: the poor Indians, like for example, if you are in a market, like an open market, stealing is seen as a very bad thing. If one decides to steal, an entire community will gang up on that person to say that's wrong, to have some sort of societal consequence. There's a consequence here to actions. In the US, while a bunch of those who shall not be named, I don't want to be specific on race here, but when you see in the US, thieves enter an entire retail store and just steal everything, and people just sit back and watch. Here, that doesn't happen. So morality is instilled in their society, a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility. Family's big here. So those are things that are dwindling, and they're almost, it's like a candle that is dying in the US. So why do we see rioting in the UK and not in the US? I'll tell you this: most of the US is just trying to survive right now. They're just hanging on. Those who give up, they can't fight because they give up and they choose the drugs, the route of the drugs. They're just drug addicts. They just give up. Some commit suicide. So India as a whole is a way better country than the US, to me. So we're talking about the direction of the world as a whole. And so I'm just, in order to understand where we're headed, you have to compare and contrast. So you see the global stocks just took a dive. Things are going for the worst. And sadly, we can only expect the worst. So we have global fraud on a pandemic, global pandemic fraud on a widespread scale, fraud everywhere. So eyes are opening right now. Eyes are opening. So what is the point of this video? I just wanted to share, I have the same fears that most people have. Well, actually, I have less fears than most have because I don't have money. So if you don't have something, the only fear I have is different than most. Most Americans fear losing their stocks, their portfolios, their houses, their gated community, their isolated living. But I just wanted to say that we are, the way things look right now are not good. We are headed towards disaster. Disaster, disaster, disaster we are headed towards. Eyes are opening. The world's still going, and it'll continue to go, but the gap keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Those who have and have-nots. So I chose to come down to India because it's very low cost of living. I can survive here. What I pay a month back home, I can survive here for 5-6 months. That's how good it is here right now. Here in India, I don't have to worry about gangs. I don't have to worry about getting shot. I don't have to worry about stepping into the wrong neighborhood. I don't have to worry about certain people. Back in the US, you constantly have to be conscious of where you are, where you're gonna get shot. Those things I don't have to worry about here. Thank God. The worst that it gets here in India is just stabbing, and that happens like every once in a blue moon. So, but the world is going for a disaster. So only God knows what's in store. But those of you who are truly aware have an idea of where we're headed, and it doesn't look good. It makes you just want to run for the hills. Like I said, I'm currently in India. You know how I feel right now? The world is going, packing up what little bags I have and headed to the fucking Himalayas mountains. Become a monk. Just close my eyes in the world completely. So I just hope things get better. Hope things get better. But the U.S. is gone. The U.S. is gone for good. There's no going back. I've had many chats with people many chaps back home, as the Brits say, and even here, some people tell me, "Oh, the dollar's gonna keep going. The dollar's gonna rise." Man, I've been saying this since the pandemic. Look, the pandemic was the beginning of the end. To me and to most people who are truly awake know that the pandemic was the beginning of the end. That's when real changes started. And it started with the death of your family members. They were in the hospital. You couldn't even go to hold their hand as they left the world, as they left this plane. You couldn't even say goodbye. Couldn't give them a call. Couldn't see them in the last moments. That was truly the beginning of the end. And but we have to stay positive. Stay focused. We are going to have to let go of some things that we couldn't let go in the past. We're going to have to adjust, adapt. But as things stand, nothing good is going to happen. So best case scenario is well, let's talk about worst case scenario, because this is what I think is going to happen, unfortunately. So massive hunger, massive homelessness, massive masses of people who are unstable because they're hungry, they're tired, they're fed up, they're faithless. They have. So where are these are people that we are going to have to deal with. The crazies. See, some people's faith is in their pockets. When they lose their money, they lose everything. Those of you who have put your faith in your pockets are going to be the first ones to lose your faculties. Because those who are truly awake know that your faith should not be in your pockets. Your faith should be in God. And yeah, maybe I've just holed up myself for too long. Maybe I gotta go out in the sun a little bit, but come on. Those who are awake know the truth, and we see the world the way things are happening, and it's not good. There's gonna be a lot of blood spilled. A lot of blood spilled, a lot of deaths, a lot of hunger, a lot of starvation, a lot of displacement, a lot of people running, moving, suffering. That's the way the world's working right now, because when I said that there's no going back, the US, the debt, the national debt in the US is out of control. It's like I said, we've opened up Pandora's box and there's no closing it. There's no putting the contents back in the box. There's no paying what can't be paid. A debt that can't be paid. So the world will continue, maybe in other parts of the world, even better. But the US does not look good right now. Some places in the world are better than others at this current moment. But the US, God knows, it's just the level of people who are just straight up crazy in the US. Those are people that you and I will have to deal with. See here, most Indians have common sense. Common sense is no more in the US. It's very, some people, like, common sense is gone in the US. It's out the fucking window. Excuse me for my language. But we will see what happens. I talked to a few co-workers of mine about 6 months ago before I came to India, and I told them that before the dollar crashes, I want to enjoy the last few bits of money that I have left, so I just left. This was part of it. Because I didn't really have anything to begin with, so why not stretch a dollar? So this video is just to say we are headed towards disaster. There are some who would tell you, prepare, but there are a few steps you can take. The time and the place, nobody knows.